Welcome back to Learn Astrology with Mary. My name is Mary English. You can find me at www.maryenglish.com, maryenglish.co.uk and UK Astrologer. Hello, 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 hello. How are you? Now, I'm pretty excited. I don't know if that's a good thing, me being excited, actually. Is it good? I don't know. It's funny. I live in Britain, okay? You're not really allowed to be excited in Britain. It just isn't a thing. Probably aren't really allowed to, inverted commas, be excited in too many European countries. As I say, it really just isn't a thing. Now in the US, people love it when you're excited. Oh, are you excited today? Anyway, I'm really excited today. Why am I excited? I'm excited because it's a nice sunny day. And I've got an interesting episode for you today. And so let me tell you the thought process, because there's always a thought process leading up to a podcast. I have got a webinar coming up, which obviously you have to sign up for. That's going to be on Friday the 27th of September. I think we're doing it at 8, I can't remember if it's 8 p.m. or 7 p.m. I'll have a quick check. It's going to be Friday, the 27th of September, 8 p.m. UK time. It will be recorded, but if you want to join me, then you can find the link for the booking on my Instagram profile. So it's under the bio. So you go to maryenglish.co.uk Instagram, and then you just click on the bit where it says bio, and there's links. There's a link to my website, link to my blog, blah blah blah. But there'll be a link to book to do the webinar. It's all about houses, and I love doing webinars. I did a load during the pandemic, and they were really enjoyable. So I'd love you to join me. It doesn't cost anything. It's perfectly free. It'll be just over an hour. Plus you get a free cheat sheet. Plus you get a discount code. Plus you get access to various different books and interesting other stuff. So there's lots and lots of freebies. And so I've got that coming up, right? And then I thought, that's on houses. And I've been thinking this week about doing the podcast I'm doing today about Jupiter. Now, obviously, I've covered Jupiter before. So I've covered Jupiter in Capricorn, wisdom in hard-won success. So that's episode 362. I covered having an awakening as an indigo in episode 333. And that was about Jupiter and Neptune, because they're important planets for indigos. I covered a podcast listener's question in episode 299, and that was about Venus and Jupiter square / opposition. Actually, I had a specific question about that. Anyway, I won't go through any more episodes. That's enough to just let you know I have covered Jupiter. And obviously, right at the beginning, when you were first listening, hopefully you did listen to the first few episodes, I covered Jupiter in episode number 10. But what I've been thinking about this week is that I gave birth to somebody who has Sun conjunct Jupiter. Listening to him yesterday, I was thinking, oh my God, he must have the world's worst life ever. I am dreadful in that I am the eternal optimist. I'm never down for too long. Anyway, give me a cup of tea and I'll soon perk up. Don't serve me coffee. You'll never hear me stop talking. And I just sort of thought, when you're born under a lucky star, what's that all about? And I put onto my Instagram page today, because I'm into the idea now that, what is it to be born under a lucky star? How does that work? And today we're going to go through a particular chart of a particular person who is a particular astrologer who was born with a particular placement of Jupiter, the lucky planet. Now, of all the planets that exist, you must know by now that Jupiter is the optimistic one. It's the one you want to check out in someone's chart. Where are they going to feel that their luck lies? It's not so good if you've got Jupiter retrograde in your 12th house, probably in the sign, I don't know, something like Capricorn. That'd be a wrong sort of sign for it to be, and retrograde in your 12th house, you might have lack of self-belief, that type of thing. So what I'm going to show you today is someone who was born with Jupiter on the Ascendant, because I went through Astro Data Bank, because this is how I get my charts. I use their lovely free search tool, which you can only access if you're a subscriber, which doesn't cost a lot of money. It's only about €11 a year. It might have gone up to 14 now, but trust me, it's a small amount of money to be able to access. The Astro Data Bank must be the best thing in the whole wide world, because you can search for specifics. So if you've got any Virgo planets in your chart, and I've got Pluto and Virgo in the first house, then it's important to be able to search for specifics. And we're going today to be doing the chart of an astrologer. Now, I've never met her, I don't know much about her, I'm only using what's on their internet, but Astro Data Bank threw me up when I searched for Jupiter conjunct the Sun conjunct the Ascendant. Now, the first few charts it threw up were two people who had Sun conjunct Jupiter and in the sign of Capricorn with a Capricorn ascendant. One is a guy called Alan Vaughan. So we will just have a quick look at his chart just to sort of demonstrate what I'm demonstrating today is that it is possible to be born under a lucky star. So we're going to use his chart, and then the other one I was going to use, no, I don't want to Leo again, where's she gone? Marie Currie. She's an American singer-songwriter. So she's got lucky sausage. She's got her Jupiter in the sign of Saggy, perfectly happy there, conjunct to the Sun. And the Sun is in the 12th, but Jupiter's on the Ascendant. But we're not going to make bones about it. So we're going to... I'm going to click on the chart now and have to save her. So we're going to just have a quick look at her chart, because she's lucky bunny. And then this first fellow that turned up, and he's been very successful in what he does. And of course then I got sidetracked because the Capricorn ascendant person, there was a quote about somebody else that he'd learned his stuff from, and I went down the old rabbit hole. And no, when I came across Kelli Fox's chart, if she isn't an example of being born under a lucky star, then I don't know who is going to be an example of born under a lucky star. Okay, so we're going to always, as per usual, we're going to be doing 3 charts. And the reason I like to do 3 charts, I mean sometimes I do just one, is because then we can compare. So if I was to make this sweeping statement that everybody that's born with Jupiter on the Ascendant conjunct the Sun is going to have a wonderfully lucky life, that wouldn't be true, because listed on astro.com, Astro Data Bank, are charts of somebody born, stillborn baby, Jupiter on the Ascendant conjunct the Sun. There was somebody that was a victim of homicide, somebody else that was a murderer. There weren't too many when I did the search, and that's from 1900 to wherever we are now, the year 2024. It only threw up 134 charts. So it's a little bit more rare to be Sun conjunct Jupiter and all of that to be on the Ascendant. Yeah. So the lad that I gave birth to, he's got Sun conjunct Jupiter, but it's nowhere near the Ascendant. So we can't make a sweeping statement that you're born under a lucky star. But then I sort of think, well, but you can, because if you, as a person, realise where your planets are and where your strengths are, and you play to those strengths, then your life's so much easier. So I've got to return to what Adrian Duncan said in one of his Philippine books. I can't remember if he said it in his book or on his website. Adrian Duncan's an astrologer from Europe. He says that when you're doing readings for clients, don't go on, don't bang on about what they got square, what they got opposition. Boost for them the things that they've got that are sextile. Boost for things, the things that are trines in their chart. Too many astrologers, when you go and see them, will go, ooh, and tell you all this negative flapping stuff, and then you walk out of the consultation and you think, what did I pay X amount of pounds for? Oh, and don't get me started, I saw somebody's, I'm mentioning no names now, and I checked their chart and I thought, really? You're charging that amount of money for a reading? You're only going to be seeing one client every 6 months. You're not going to get any experience. So I want to return return to the point that when you set yourself up in practice, and if you have already, do not charge stupid amounts of money, for the simple reason that you'll never get people to practice with, because they're... So how are you going to gain experience when you're charging so much money? It always annoys me because I charge a medium amount of money. Okay, medium. I'm not the most expensive and I'm not the cheapest, but I have seen hundreds. It's coming into thousands now, but I have seen hundreds and hundreds of clients over the years because I've always kept my price points at a sensible rate. And that's because I myself have my Jupiter in the sign of Capricorn. It isn't retrograde. In fact, I don't think it's retrograde. Let me double check. Hold on. My Jupiter isn't retrograde, but is 0 degrees Capricorn. I mean, Jupiter in Capricorn, please. And I've got Saturn in Capricorn. So praise the planets. I have got some sensible things in my chart. So even though I'm a stupid Pisces and I can do all those silly Pisces things, blim, 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 blim. So today we're talking about being born under a lucky star. What does that look like astrologically? And we're talking about Jupiter. So let's kick off with our first chart. Okay, so the first person we're covering is a guy called Alan Vaughan. And he was born in 1936, author, editor and psychic, who, this is written in the present tense because he wasn't dead then, who has written widely on psychical and parapsychological topics. He was born on December the 28th, 1936 in Akron, Ohio, and studied at the University of Akron, 1958, Rutgers University, 1958 to 59, the New School for Social Research, 66-67, and the University of Freiburg, 67-68. He held several editing jobs before going to work for Psychic magazine, later called New Realities, in 1969. He was the editor of Psychic for 5 years, from 72 to 77, and from 78 onwards he was president of New Ways of Consciousness Foundation, San Francisco. He also started a Los Angeles-based computer software program called Mind Technology Systems. Vaughan has worked in parapsychology, especially with the Dream Laboratory at Maimonides Hospital, and he is an associate member of the Parapsychological Association. He is also a psychic, having begun his development in Europe in the 1960s. In 1983, he began channeling an entity named Ling Sung, who claimed to be an ancient Chinese healer and herbalist. Vaughan reflected upon his unusual dual life. Quote, "The transition from a skeptical science textbook editor to a parapsychologist to practicing psychic was a painful one. I had to give up the cherished idea of traditional science to discover the more important underlying realities of consciousness and its psychic effects. The research leading to patterns of prophecy opened up my own prophetic talent and enabled me to teach others how to develop their latent PSI gifts. Each of us has unique consciousness and a unique task in life. We also have unique problems to solve, but only our consciousness has the answers to our problems. Your inner self has the wisdom of the universe locked up within it. By finding the key to unlock that wisdom, you will enrich your life." Oh, bless. Doesn't that sound lovely? That's nice. I like that. Now, he died. He wasn't very old. He died 2001. So I'll have a quick look at that in a tick. But let's just look. So he's born under a lucky star, and he did parapsychology. So I'm reading Dean Radin's book called Real Magic, which is a fabulous book. If you want evidence that magic exists, then do read his book. I'll put a link in there. It's amazing. Psi research, so there's PSI, is parapsychology and all of that. They're absolute laboratory experiments. have been conducted to prove that humans certainly can read other humans' minds, and humans even as well can do magical stuff, depending of course what you define as being magical. Obviously they can't just produce a bird out of a hat. That's a magician, that's different, but real magic does exist. Now, Alan Vaughan was born 28th December 1936 at 8:09 a.m. in Akron in Ohio. So his ascendant is 9 degrees 52 minutes 49 seconds into Capricorn, and his sun sign is 6 degrees. So technically and astrologically, as far as equal house goes and any other house system other than whole sign, his Sun and his Jupiter, even though they're conjunct to the Ascendant, are located in his 12th house. So he's not going to be an in-your-face astrologer. And the fact that they're located in the 12th and Jupiter's pretty happy there means I can absolutely understand that he was interested in dreams and did dream research. That absolutely makes sense. The Sun's in Capricorn and the Moon's in Cancer, so he's born on a full moon. He's got a number of oppositions. He's got Saturn in Pisces, so he'll be having a Saturn return right about now. Opposition Neptune retrograde in Virgo, which actually I think is a rather tricky signature, because Neptune's the ruling planet to Pisces, Virgo's its flipping opposite sign, and then you retrograde to it. It's like, oh, I need to be precise about my psychic ability, which is what he did by being a scientist. I can see another opposition that, oh no, it's not an opposition, big pardon. Uranus's opposition to his MC, but I was going to say his Mars's, but it isn't. So he's got quite a splashy, splayy sort of chart. Everything's round the circle. There's only 3 empty houses. And he's got his Mercury in the 1st house. Pluto's in Cancer, retrograde in the 7th, and he married twice. I don't know, I think the longer people live, the more likely they are to marry more than once. This is the law of averages, isn't it? He's got a lot of oppositions. He's got Mercury opposition Pluto, Sun opposition Moon, Moon opposition Jupiter, Mercury opposition Pluto. There's a lot of oppositions going on in there. But he was successful in he started all these bloody king organisations. Let's go back to what Astro Databank tells us. Scientist and metaphysician, noted author and editor at the Psychic magazine. He lives in Germany in 1968. He wrote an urgent letter warning of the impending assassination of Robert F. Kennedy. His unique abilities touched many people who have reported amazing insights that forecasted changes in their lives. So he obviously liked what he did. So if he wrote the letter in 68, well, I don't know where they've taken that quoted from, but Robert F. Kennedy did die in June. Was that what I just saw? 6th of June 1968. And apparently this Alan Vaughan chap, he wrote a letter about it. I won't go into the whole thing because we'll never get the episode finished, because I want to make a point about the episode. But anyway, his books include Dream Telepathy, tick, Patterns of Prophecy and Incredible Coincidences, plus many more books, and he co-authored Regarding Dream Telepathy with Stanley Krippner and Montague Ullman. Vaughan served as a successful psychic in the monumental research study that they had conducted. He's contributed to key research and significant breakthroughs in psychic testing and controlled studies, leading to a software package called Psychic Reward. He also has audio tapes available and a video spiritual channeling. As Vaughan goes into a trance, a spirit entity named Li Sung appears and describes his role as a spiritual guide. So we've got some important dates here. We've got the fact that he passed away in 2001, and on that other article I read was when he started to find this Lee Sung woman, so that's 1983. So let's just have a quick look at the transits for those dates. I can't really do transits because 1983 I haven't flipping well got a date that he started channeling this woman, but I'm really into the solar archy things at the minute. Oh, they're lovely, loving them. And solar arcs are the amount of degrees between one planet and another, and you just subtract one from the other, and when you add on to the other, the difference between one planet and another. So if there's 15 degrees between your sun and your moon, something can happen when you're 15 years old. And I've been trying it out with clients because they're the only people that I can experiment with to check whether or not something works, and it's quite uncanny. So I've done a solar arc for him I've done it for the 1st of June 1983, so he's channeling this entity. And in 1983, he's going to be 47 years old. So quite a bit of shift. So I'm just going to put this solar arc chart onto the show notes so that you can see it. And what you're looking for then is, because on astro.com you can call up a solar arc chart. Solar arc. It's got nothing to do with the sun. Ignore that. They're just archy charts, and they've worked out by the amount of differences between one planet and another. So what you're looking for when you're doing it is everything's been moved forwards by 47 degrees. So what happens when he gets to be 47 years old? Is something conjunct to something else? And what stood out for me was Neptune, solar archy bobby dobby, is 6 degrees, and that's the planet you want to look for if you're looking for psychic ability, and his MC's 4 degrees. So obviously that's hovering around there, leading up to that, because it's 1 degree for every year of life. Pluto's getting near to his Neptune, Mercury's getting near to his Saturn, the Sun and Jupiter, because we're talking about Sun and Jupiter today, are on his natal Venus. Uranus is exactly conjunct his Chiron. Saturn is coming up to his Uranus. So for solar arcs to be a thing, it has to be an exact conjunction mathematically. So you count, and from one planet to another. So just as a stupid example, he's got Saturn 17 degrees Pisces, his Uranus is 5 degrees Taurus. He gets to 47, Saturn is now 4 degrees to Taurus, and his natal Uranus is 5 degrees. So it's within a few minutes we can say Saturn, which is his ruling planet, which is the ruler to his chart, he gets to 47 years old. Uranus is in his 4th house. Uranus is weird stuff happening. Saturn's about responsibility in the sign of Taurus. Might be able to make some money doing this. Whether or not that would indicate psychic connection, I don't know, but it's opposite to his Neptune. Neptune's a psychic thing, so I could make a nice argument for that. But anyway, he starts channeling this woman, and then unfortunately he goes and decides to leave the earthly plane in 2001. Okay, so I have found on a website the date he died, so it's one of those find a grave thingies. Died in California after a long battle with throat cancer. He was a well-known psychic, author of many books on parapsychology, and lectured. He was also a US Army veteran. The family wished to thank Caroline, a good friend and caregiver for Alan, who stayed by his side and cared for him until the end. A memorial service was held in Santa Monica, California, and a cremation then took place. His ashes were returned to Akron, Ohio, where a service was held and burial was private. Now, I looked to the solar arcs for them. There was a Neptune to the moon thing, which is quite interesting. But just transit-wise, moon was in the sign of Libra, and natally he's got Mars in Libra. So that had squared his sun sign, because the moon, it's squared to his moon, beg your pardon, because his natal moon's 11 degrees Cancer, and transiting moon was 16. The North Node is exactly conjunct his moon. The moon things are more important for death, really. Because, well, it depends how you die, whether or not you die by being shot or falling over or getting squished by a car or whatever. But the ruling planet to his chart is Saturn, and at that point in time, this is when he's dead now, dying, beg your pardon, Sun's in the 5th house, Saturn's in the 5th house, and it's 28 degrees. and it's in the sign of Taurus, and it's not doing anything. It's square to his Venus. Can't make an argument for that, I'm afraid. What's the planet that helped him pass? Chiron, transiting Chiron's exactly conjunct with Jupiter, is it? Chiron is, no, 28 degrees Saggy. It's just the North Node. So the transiting true node is 10 degrees to Cancer, and natally he's got Moon 11 degrees Cancer. So I think his, North Node has helped him pass away. And obviously that wasn't sudden because this lady Christine was looking after him. Anyway, that was somebody that was, and teaching, Jupiter's all about teaching, learning, that type of stuff. And I can definitely see in his chart the whole psychic thing, because the Sun and Jupiter's happy in the 12th. The Sun's there as well, so it's a little bit more shy. Not doing his whole life, but just doing a little bit about Jupiter conjunct the Sun, conjunct Ascendant. So that's him. Now, next up, we've got Marie Currie. Okay. Now, Astro Databank tells us she's an American singer, songwriter, actress, and artist, best known for playing in a band with her identical twin, Cherie Currie, called Cherie and Marie Currie. Is that the name of the band? Yes. Their song Since You Been Gone. Surely it's You've Been Gone. Is there a typo? Let me Google that. Since You Be Gone. Charted at number 95 in the US charts. Marie played Singing Maid Marie in the 1984 film The Rosebud Beach Hotel, and is now a popular multimedia sculptor and artist. So she's born on the 30th of November 55. She married Steve Lukather, lead guitarist and co-vocalist of Toto, in February 1981. They met in the studio doing the recording of Messing with the Boys, no G on there. They had 2 children together before divorcing. Now, what's nice about her chart when we talk about Jupiter, she's got a slightly different combo to R. Allen. She's got her Jupiter most definitely in the first house, because obviously it depends how accurate her time is, but we got a time of birth, 30th November 59, 7:02 a.m. That sounds pretty accurate to me. You're not going to get those 2 minutes unless you know what you're talking about. Her ascendant is exactly 11 degrees 32 minutes. Okay, into the sign of Capricorn, and her Jupiter is 11 degrees 43 minutes, so good old Jupiter's in the first. However, the Sun and Moon are conjunct as well, because the Moon is 11 degrees, the Ascendant's 11 degrees, and the Sun is 7 degrees. They're all pretty close, and their Astro Databank's brought up the right info that I'd asked for it. Jupiter's happy in the sign of Saggy. But the Sun and the Moon are in the 12th, because the Moon's 11 degrees 24 and the Ascendant is 11 degrees 32. Mercury's also retrograde in the sign of Scorpio, which probably doesn't help, and she's got a stellium in the 12th. Oh, by the way, the webinar I'm covering stelliums. Eek! So we're doing empty houses and stelliums, so do come along. So that's a pretty happy chart, really. That's somebody who would be optimistic when Jupiter's near Ascendant, and it's in the sign of Saggy, and you've got a very, oh my lord, look at her, she's got a bowl chart. It's even smaller than a bowl, isn't it? It's a cluster. She's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 empty houses. Get her. Wow, 59. Yeah, so she's not quite an indigo. She's earlier generation to indigo, and she hasn't got Pluto Uranus conjunction, she hasn't got Neptune Uranus conjunction, but she flipping well has a one-sided chart, poor love. And she's got Chiron in Aquarius in the 3rd. So the major things we've got there is that their song charting number 95. Let's just check with good old Wikipedia when that happened. That was difficult for me to find out about. The song was called Since You Been Gone, and then later on it morphed into Since You've Been Gone, but it was written by somebody else, and they released it in 1979, her and her sister, on a band called Messing something or other. So let's look at the transits for 1979. I've just used 14th of June, some random day. Because I'm more interested in the outer planets when something big happens. I can't really truly believe that something enormous is going to happen with just the sun and the moon making an aspect. Really, it's got to be a bit of an outer planet going on. And because she was, well, her and her twin sister were born with Uranus in Leo. Uranus is now in the sign of Scorpio, and it's exactly conjunct her Mercury. Neptune is now in the sign of Saggy. Neptune's not unhappy in Saggy because, Jupiter's an old ruler to Saggy, and Neptune is a new ruler to Pisces, and so we've got a mutual reception going on there that no, we haven't, but we've got Neptune in the sign of Saggy, but it's not where Neptune's happiest, which is Pisces, but it's in Saggy, and it's conjunct. So transiting Neptune retrograde is 19 degrees, and her natal Jupiter is 11 degrees. So Neptune's not, yes, and Neptune's going to retrograde back further through the sign of Saggy. Her sister says, so on her sister's Wikipedia page, there was drug addiction and God knows what else. Natally, we've got Sun square Pluto, which isn't such a happy aspect. There is a tendency then to push oneself to one's limits. So the positive thing, she's got Moon trine to Uranus, so one presumes, I don't know, she's been happy. But I do remember the song, so since he's been gone, whatever, that's how the tune goes. Because I was thinking, I don't remember how it went, but I have remembered, so excuse my bit of singing there, I do remember the song happening. Saturn's right up there in the sign of Virgo, in her going between her 9th and her 10th house. So her outer planets are sort of spreading out a bit. Obviously Uranus travels quicker because Uranus is now changed from Leo to Virgo to Libra. It's now in Scorpio, but that's retrograde as well. So that bit of success might not have been quite so fun. And success as a thing isn't if you base your sense of success on money and riches and fame and aeroplanes and people bashing on your door asking for your autograph and stuff. I really wouldn't consider that a success, but anyway, don't get me started. So that's Marie Currie. Hope I pronounced her name wrong. She's got Jupiter conjunct a whole load of other things and a very one-sided chart. So we're going to finish the podcast today talking about Kelli Fox, because she's an astrologer and this is an astrology podcast. I'm never going to get to meet her, but hey, there we go. Now, she has a very interesting chart. So she's got her ascendant 14 degrees into the sign of Leo, and her Jupiter and her sun sign are in Leo. So the ascendant is 14 degrees. Jupiter is 16 degrees. The sun is 21. So the first planet that you hit when you get to her chart and you start going, what have I got here, is Jupiter. Boom. So Jupiter's less than 2 degrees away from her ascendant, and it's in the sign of Leo. And I would have thought, I don't know about this detriment and blah thing, and I can't be asked to look it up today. Sorry, I've got the wrong mindset. I would have thought Jupiter was pretty happy in Leo, and with it being conjunct to the sun in the first house, what the natural instinct, if you, mind you, you've got to trust your instincts. If you allow your Jupiter to do its thing, it's going to definitely bring you success. Your Jupiter ain't going to bring you success if it's badly aspected. There's some horrible aspects going to it, or you don't allow it to do its thing, you don't trust it. Yeah, Jupiter can't really bring negativity. It can overdo things. So too much Jupiter going on in your chart, you might eat too much chocolate, but it's not a negative planet, and even in old astrology it wouldn't be classified as such. Don't forget, not everybody's lives are happy all the way through, because success has nothing to do with happiness. We wish people, a successful, happy life. I would be more inclined to wish people a contented life, not probably even a happy life, because what's happy is very subjective. So she is born, so good old Kelli, she's born on the 15th of August 1967, 6:20 a.m. in Sydney, Australia. Her Mercury's in the 12th in the sign of Leo. It's 11 degrees, whilst her ascendant is 14. She's got Moon in Saggy, and that's in the 5th house. The 5th house is the ruler to Leo. She's got her Moon located there. She is a Leo. She's got it in Saggy. She's going to be international. She's going to travel. She's done all of that. And what I thought was quite interesting was that she is and was, inverted commas, still a sun sign astrologer. Now, I'm not saying that she can't do other charts, because she's qualified in all the other stuff. She's learned astrology, don't get me wrong, but business side of things, her websites are very much sun sign orientated. And let me tell you, if you do sun sign astrology, it's absolutely never ending, because there are 12 signs of the zodiac. So I found an old YouTube channel of hers that's called KT the Astrologer, and on there she's got sun sign compatibility. Now, if you think there's 12 signs of the zodiac and 12 signs of the zodiac they could be with, so each of those 12 could be with any one of the other 12 signs. So, you know, Pisces with an Aries, and a Pisces with a Cancer, and I'm going to do the maths. That's a lot of combos, and she's only managed to do so in her sun sign compatibility one, hold on, with videos and playlists, there is 139 videos for sun sign compatibility. So let me just quickly do the maths on that. 12 signs of the zodiac times 12 is 144. So she's missed out. She's always got fed up doing it. She's missed out 5 combos in there. She has done, on that particular channel, she's done sun signs in love, and she's done 12 videos. And I listened to the one about sun sign Leo and how it is in love and stuff. And of course, she's given herself a bit of a big up there. So don't think for a minute that sun sign astrology is easy, because if people only understand the sun, they're only going to want to know about, oh, I'm a Capricorn and I'm dating a Scorpio, how are we going to get on? And that's a lot of combos that you've got to get your head around, and you've got to write about. I never want to do, never have, only ever done 4 times a year column. I would never want to do a daily, a monthly, a weekly column, because you just got to keep repeating those 12 things. There's no nuances with it. It's hard work. So let's tell you a bit about Kelli. So according to Astro Databank, don't worry, I'm going to quote off her own website, Australian astrologer and businesswoman, she and her husband David were the creators in 1995 of one of the first astrology websites, astrology.com. Now imagine you bought that domain name in the 90s. That'd be worth millions now. They left in 2003. An ardent reader as a child, she was raised primarily by her mother in disadvantaged circumstances. She became a speed reader, reading a book a day as a child. She landed a job as a secretary, then moved on to a sales job in the computer industry. She began her astrological studies and met her husband at about the same time. In 1993, her husband sold his share of his company and landed a consulting position in California. The couple moved there and then to London and finally back to California in 1994, where they rode the wave of the internet with the release of their popular website, astrology.net. In 1998, iVillage approached them with an offer to buy, and in 2000, iVillage changed the domain name to astrology.com. As a point, what happens at astrology.com? Does that still exist? What happens when you go there? Okay, yeah, astrology.com, free readings, it's all the signs of the zodiac. It doesn't have a person on there. Contact about us, what does that say? Leading astrology media brand. Yeah, it's a little boring. I didn't say that. But I suppose it will come up with a search, I don't know. Where were we? In March 2004, Fox contracted toxic epidermal necrolysis, a potentially fatal and oh blimey, and very painful disease. In a coma and on life support, she was treated in the intensive care burn unit and underwent skin grafts. She began recuperating, and in February 2005, she and her husband created a new business, The Astrologer, at theastrologer.com. I think, oh no, theastrologer.com, I don't think that exists anymore. Hold on, theastrologer.com, who's got that? No, that's an error code. Yeah, because I tried that earlier, sorry. Astrologer.com doesn't exist. So Kelli is now at Astrology TV. So it's astrology and then .tv. That's where she's located now. So she's gone through quite a few domain names in her day. I did look on the Internet Archive. I live on there. It's wonderful. I'm a mutable sign. I like going back to the past. You can put any domain name in the Wayback Machine on there. So if you Google Wayback Machine and lob a domain name in there, it'll show you how it's progressed over the years since its first inception. It's terribly interesting, and it's sort of like screenshots in a way, the websites from back in the day. It's the Internet Archive is literally that, an archive of the internet. So people like myself, born in the 60s, we were there right at the beginning, well I was, of the internet being created in the 90s. You know, I got a computer very early. I started my newsletter list really early. Still got lots of subscribers. Hello, if you're listening and you're still a subscriber. But the Wayback Machine will show you the history of a website. So I put in there theastrologer.com, which doesn't exist anymore, it's gone AWOL, just to have a little mooch about and see what she was up to. So in what year am I now? I'm looking at 2010, I think, is that right? I'm looking at the year 2010. Is that the one I've called up? From 2010 to 2020, and I'm in 2nd of June 2013. So she was first a member of the Founders Circle of Kepler College. I think they're still going. Let's have a look if that link works. Kepler College, nope. That doesn't exist. As an emeritus member of the Board of Trustees. Kepler College is the first college in the Western Hemisphere authorised to issue BA, AA and MA degrees in astrological studies. Oh, actually, let me just double check that address. No, I thought so. That domain name doesn't exist anymore. It's called keplercollege.org. I don't think they can award MAs and BAs. I don't know how they managed to do that back then. I think the only thing you can get in astrology is an MA from Nick Campion in Wales. But yeah, Kepler College. So she helped found that. So the point I want to make, now it's written somewhere on one of the websites, is she's a prolific writer. And if you want to look at something, when something is prolific, that's doing a lot of, you've got to check for Jupiter. It says it on the page I got. Kelli is a prolific content creator, having brought forth, I love that word, over 2 million words for the astrologer, the equivalent of 20 novels. In addition, she records over 400 astrological video segments every month, from daily horoscopes and planetary updates to annual forecasts and compatibility reports. She doesn't do that frequency of stuff now, but she has done it, and she did that in 2013. Favourite moon phase, the crescent. I like the look of it in the night sky. So she's definitely a Leo, no two ways about it. She's cheerful and optimistic and out there and doing stuff. She has got that Saggy moon thing, is in that she might start something, she might not finish it sort of thing, but she's going to do lots of it. In 2004, with Neptune on her descent and transiting Pluto conjunct her natal moon, oh, there we go, she's telling us, she had a near-death medical experience that left her in a coma on life support for 2 weeks. Kelli was fortunate to survive and return from the other side with newfound life. Her passion to share their knowledge of astrology with people everywhere was reignited. So we haven't got the exact date, 2004. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, I love Astro Databank. They've got the chart on there for her near-death So she says on her website, or she said on her website in 2013, because I'm looking at, as I say, the Wayback Machine. So she's just written that on the internet today. We've got her natal chart. So we've got, her natal chart is pretty clustered. She's got a bucket, but it's a very teeny bucket. There's a stellium going on there. There's a lot of squares, but there's a lot of trines too. So the date of the near death and the necrotic skin condition is the 15th of August 67. Jupiter is retrograding, and Jupiter is a super important planet for her. Okay, so it's retrograding in the sign of Virgo. Oh, I should think I'm really happy there. And it's exactly conjunct to her Venus, and her Pluto is 19. Jupiter's conjunct, but not exact. It's 7 degrees apart. Neptune is on her descendant. Transiting Neptune is 14 degrees. And, 14 degrees 21, and her ascendant is 14 degrees 57. So it's not on her. Typically, it's at the end of her 6th house. Is she allergic to Neptune? Neptune's in her 4th. Neptune squares her Jupiter. Oh, and squares her sun sign. She hasn't got a happy relationship with Neptune. Okay. And it would have spent a long time going through her 6th house of health. I'm sharing this chart, by the way, in case you want to have a look at it. Transiting Pluto is 22 degrees Saggy, and her natal moon is 16. And in her blurb, she says, in 2004, Neptune descendant transiting Pluto conjunct her natal moon. Not exactly, but anyway. Yeah, but you see, you can't say that caused it. Those are outer planets. Okay, that would bring the stress to it. We need to look to see where the faster moving planets are. Why did she go into hospital on the 15th of March? Okay, so the moon is in Capricorn. The sun is in Pisces, so is Uranus. Venus is in Taurus, opposition to her Mars. And Mars is in Taurus, and her MC is 0 degrees Gemini. I think it's more Jupiter. She doesn't mention Jupiter on there, does she? Oh, Mary, pay attention. Jupiter. No, she doesn't mention Jupiter. Jupiter is retrograding and conjuncting her natal Venus. And her natal Pluto-Uranus. And the Saturn is opposition to the moon, because Pluto would have been conjuncting her moon for quite a while. And skin in medical astrology is, according to Diane Kramer, the skin is the sign Libra. Rules the sign Libra, which has to do with the skin, is therefore associated with benign skin growths or minor skin irritations. But it's also Venus. So she's talking about Venus and Libra, and she's got that aspect to natal Venus, and Jupiter's retrograding there. So I would say, in my professional opinion, what inverted commas caused that was more likely the Jupiter retrograding onto the Venus-y thing. I would say that was more the case. She has got a grand trine in there, lucky her. It is all in fire. She's got only one cardinal planet, which is her Saturn, which is also in fire, because that's in Aries, and that's retrograde. So this might be a chart where we're going to do a lot of overdoing it rather than not doing it. But Jupiter's very evident in life. It seems quite a Jupiter-ruled life that she's actually, she's going from California to London, and she comes from Australia, so she's been zipping around the world quite a bit. And the sun and the moon have definitely got a nice relationship. They've got a trine to each other. She starts to get into inverted commas astrological difficulties when it gets as far as Mars. I mean, moon square Venus isn't that much of an issue, but when the sun squares Mars, because I know people that. And Mercury squares Mars, we're going to overdo it. We're going to push our bodies. I expect what led up to her being very ill was the overdoing it in the writing 4 under columns or whatever it was every day of the week. So that's a little bit there about Jupiter conjunct the Sun, conjunct the Ascendant, how in astrology it's classified as a lucky planet. So look at it in your chart with different eyes at the moment and think about, where is yours in your chart? Because I've only given you 3 examples of 3 people that have been successful in what they do. So they've made some money, they've, got lots of fans, sold lots of records, got that type of thing. But we also, is that at the expense of their health, their long life, their happiness? So success and happiness aren't in the same sentence. Auntie Mary would advise you to bring a little bit of Saturn into your life. It's important not to just do the Jupiter thing, but equally don't beat yourself up with too much Saturn. We have to balance everything in our charts, and we also need to look at where we've got trines and sextiles and work with them, because they're the ones that can bring us more internal peace and less discord. I always think of the Buddha as a trine. Not even a sextile. I see the Buddha as a trine. That little triangle, trine, sit, meditate, that type of thing. Anyway, so I hope you have a fab week. I will be back next week. Please join me for the webinar, which is coming up on the 27th, 8 p.m. UK time. We're doing houses. We're doing empty houses. We're doing stelliums. It's a cheat sheet. So if nothing else, come along to the webinar and you'll get that cheat sheet. It's not universally given. I have written it specifically for webinar attendees. There's a similar thing in my book, Enjoy an Equal House, which obviously you need to go and grab a copy of. Do you know, I haven't plugged that book hardly enough. It is available in a paperback and you can get it on Amazon. So I hope you have a fab week and I'll be back next week. Bye bye now.